Well, hello everyone, my name is Wigo and welcome back to another Pokemon Challenge video. Last time we saw how Wally would do in Pokemon Sapphire or Ruby, and today I'm going to be visiting Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. But I'm not going to be playing through Diamond and Pearl normally, I'll be playing through it with only Route 1 Pokemon. Route 1 consists out of Starly and Bidoof, and that's literally it. In Platinum you can also get Kricketot, but not in Diamond and Pearl. But hey, it doesn't really matter because Staraptor is a pretty damn good Pokemon and you know, Bibarel is just god, so we shouldn't really have that hard of a time in this one. You know, except for maybe the Electric type gym, the Rock type gym, and maybe the Ice type gym, but we should be doing okay. The rules are very simple. I can't use HM slaves, I cannot use any items in battle, and the only Pokemon that I can really use in battle are my Route 2 Pokemon. With that being said, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and let's get right into it. We start off the game by naming ourselves Big Noob because who else would be running through a game with only Route 1 Pokemon except if you're a Big Noob. We need a cool name for our rival. Gretl. Sounds like a very cool name, so I'm gonna pick Gretl. We then traveled to the first lake, which I forgot the name of, and I went to talk with the professor and the assistant who forgot their briefcase. We then got attacked by some random birds and I have to choose my starter, so I go for the penguin because Piplup is the cutest of all of them in my opinion. Then I name my Piplup Kairuku because that is an extinct kind of penguin back from the good old days. Dawn then teaches me how to capture a Pokemon, like I don't know that already, but thank you very much, Dawn. Then I went to Route 1, captured myself a level 3 Starly and named it Burb. Then I also looked for a Bidoof, which was level 3, captured that and named it God. I mean, we have God on our side now, guys. It's all gonna be alright. After that, I went to the city because I had to look for some clowns that broke out of prison, got all of them, and got myself a nice little pocket watch. Then it was time for our first real rival fight. He started off with his Starly while I led with my God, and it was the battle of the tackles, but sadly enough his Starly was just too strong for God, so I had to switch in Burb to finish off his Starly. Then his Turtwig came out, but luckily I got a critical wing attack to win ourselves the first rival fight. Then I went to the mine because the gym leader abandoned his job and I was like, hey, I have to challenge you, and he was like, alright, I'll come back. But I wasn't ready to challenge him yet, so I had to grind up my Bidoof to level 15 so that he would evolve into the final form of God. It took me ages, but eventually, after killing the entire population of Starlies and Abras and Bidoofs, I eventually got myself a nice little Bibarel with a water gun. With my new and evolved Bibarel, I went to challenge Rourke, and his first Pokemon Geodude was an easy one-shot. Onix also was an easy one-shot, but then Cranidos probably would not have been one-shotted, but we got a critical hit, which actually did one-shot him. Well, that was probably the easiest gym badge that I've ever done in my entire life. After that, we had to scare away some Team Galactic runs together with Dawn, and after doing that, I got myself another Bidoof because another one is very much needed to use HMs. And then my beautiful little Starly evolved into a Staravia, which is a big upgrade. Then I found out that the Valley Windworks got taken over by Team Galactic, so I had to beat them up over there, and the commander was actually a pretty damn challenging opponent. Even though her first Pokemon Zubat was an easy 2-shot with wing attack, her Perugly always does some decent damage. Since my Staravia was badly poisoned, I had to switch into my Bibarel and I went for 2 rollouts, but she also used Fake Out and then took me down with a few feint attacks. So my only hope was my Staravia, which was also poisoned, but I knew that she could do it. Even though we got hit with a lot of scratches and feint attacks, we were left with 5 HP and we took it out with a wing attack. Then I found myself a girlfriend in the forest, but once I let her out of the forest, she just left me with the kids. In the next town, it was time for another gym battle against the grass-type gym leader, Gardenia, which is a very nice name for a grass-type gym leader because garden. She started off with a berry, which isn't really a Pokemon, so I just wing attacked it and it was dead. Next up was a little turtle who managed to tank a wing attack with like 1 HP. He then set up a reflect and then I had to do 3 more wing attacks to finish it off. because she decided to use a super potion on him. And last up was a Rose Raid, but the Reflect was still up, so my first wing attack didn't do that much damage, but after that the Reflect wore off and the next wing attack won me the battle. We also got the TM for Grass Knot, who Bibarel can learn, believe it or not, which is going to be useful later on. We then met up with Cynthia, who learned us how to cut down very tiny trees where you can't run over. And then Team Galactic decided to take over another building, and this time I had to take on Jupiter. I just decided to lead off with God and go for the rollout straight away, which did some decent damage. She then used a Giga Drain with her Zubat, and the second rollout took it out. Last up was of course the Skunk Tank, which I easily took down with 2 more rollouts because the power was just too much and it kept on building up. Then I saved the Buneri, the Clefairy, and the Helpless Guy, and as a thanks he gave me a bike. Then I finally arrived in Hearthome City. I got attacked by a crazy rabbit, I kicked it in the face, and the pretty girl picked it up and left with it. Yeah, that's just Pokemon for you now, isn't it? After doing some shenanigans in the contest hall, I tried to leave Hearthome City, but my rival was like, "No, I'm Geralt and I'm going to stop you from leaving." So I had to beat him up again. Well, since he decided to not evolve his Starly, I clearly had the advantage here, and a single wing attack got rid of his tiny little bird. Next up was a Weasel, who I wing attacked and then finished off with a quick attack while also getting hit with a Pursuit. Then he decided to set a horse on fire, but luckily he couldn't touch us and 2 wing attacks finished that thing off as well. And since Gretl is grass type, this thing really can't touch my Staravia, so 2 wing attacks finished that thing off as well, and now we can finally leave Hearthome City. Then I actually had my first loss of this entire run, which was against a Gyarados because it just kept on using trash against me. Very sad. And then I had to take on Maylene, which was fighting type actually, so I thought that Staravia was going to be able to finish this gym up very quickly, but I forgot about her Lucario, who literally did tons of damage with Drain Punch. Even with some good RNG, I didn't think this was possible unless I used Double Team, and I really didn't want to use that at this point in the game, so I just leveled up my Staravia a little bit more so that it would evolve into a Staraptor at level 35. And then it learns Close Combat, which should be able to one-shot this Lucario very easily. So I went back to her gym, and her first Pokemon, like always, is a Meditite, so I start off with Staraptor and kill it with a single Aerial Ace. Next up is Machoke, who shares the same fate as the Meditite because Staraptor is just that strong. And then last up was the Lucario, who this time really couldn't touch us because a single close combat won us the battle. Nothing of significance really happens anymore, so I had straight to Crasher Wake to beat him up as well. His first Pokemon is a Gyarados, which has Intimidate, so I decided to start off with Bibarel so that Staraptor wouldn't be affected by the Intimidate. I didn't think that God was going to be able to take down this mighty beast, but he used Swagger on me. I didn't hit myself once in my confusion, and I just took him out with a few Hyper Fangs and Headbutts. Next up was Quagsire, so I decided to stay in because I still had my +1 attack boost. I headbutted him twice, I flinched him as well, but then he healed up and 2 more headbutts killed the Quagsire while I was only left with 13 HP. I knew that Floatzel was going to outspeed my Bibarel, so I just decided to sack him and then go into Staraptor. Floatzel really didn't have anything to hit me with, only a Pursuit which did barely any damage, so 2 Aerial Aces won me the 4th gym badge. And then as I tried to leave town, my rival Geralt wanted another fight. His Starly is now level 26 and he still hasn't evolved it. Why, Game Freak? Why wouldn't you let this man evolve his Starly? So I thought that this was a very good opportunity to set up some rollouts, and I took it down with 2 of them. Gretl was next, and one rollout already did a lot of damage, but then he just set up a Withdraw and the next rollout took him out because of the double damage. Next was the Ponyta, who totally got obliterated by my rollout, and last up was Weasel, who I took down with a Hyper Fang. You see, it's not only Staraptor, Bibarel can pull his weight as well. Then I met up with Cynthia, got myself a secret potion to get rid of some very dumb Psyduck who were standing in a way because they had a headache. I sprayed some of that potion on them and they were gone. Then I had to go and meet up with Cynthia's grandmother. Which gave me DHM for Surf, and I was on my way to the next gym, which was Ghost type and led by the French gym leader Leader, Fantina. By the time I got to Fantina, my Bibarel already fainted because of all the gym trainers, and I also knew that he was probably going to be useless here. With the first Pokemon being a Drifblim, I decided to lead off with my very mighty Staraptor, which knew some aerial aces and cut that balloon in tiny little pieces just like I would do with an omelette de fromage. Next up was Miss Magius, who had a very big hat on her head like a chef's hat, so it looked like it was going to be making some croissants, but I killed her as well with 2 aerial aces. And last up was her Gengar, and I was still confused, so I hit myself once, and it also hit me with a poison jab which almost took me down, but a single fly was enough to win myself this battle and a nice little croissant. With the French part of this video out of the way, I made my way to the next city where I had to fight my rival on a bridge. This time his Starly finally evolved into a Staravia, but since my god now knows Surf, it really wasn't able to do any significant sort of damage to me. Next was Gretl, who was an easy 2-shot with Aerial Ace. I'm very surprised it didn't 1-shot actually. I extinguished the Fire Horse with my Surf so that he would not die from the fire. Next up was Heracross, and for some reason I decided to not go into Staraptor and just let my Bibarel die to a single Brick Break, then bring in Staraptor and kill it with an Aerial Ace. And last was Weasel, who, like always, doesn't really oppose any sort of challenge, so an Aerial Ace took it out. Then it was time to take on the next gym leader, the father of Rourke, the worst gym leader ever. It's Byron, the second worst gym leader ever. Well, the first Pokemon was Bronzor, which was a pain in the ass to deal with my Bibarel actually. I just kept on going for a Surf because the rest of my attacks were not very effective, and he also used special defensive boosting moves, which was a little bit annoying, and once I got him down into red health, he just healed him up with a Hyper Potion. So eventually, after getting him down into red health again, I finally got taken out by the Bronzor and had to switch into my Staraptor. So Staraptor finished off the Bronzor with an Aerial Ace, and next up was Bastiodon. And even though he has a base defense level of like 200, my close combat was still enough to take him out because it was 4 times super effective. And last up was the Steelix, who went down to 2 close combats because he just set up a Sandstorm and wasted his turn. 6 gym badges down, let's go talk to the professor. I was sitting there with Geralt, Dawn, and the professor talking in the library while suddenly a terrorist attack happened. Somebody came in and he said, "It's the lakes, they're getting exploded, they're getting destroyed, y'all need to save them." So we split up, I went to one lake, they went to 2 other lakes, and that was that. But first I had to get myself the HM for strength, which I did by going to the top of the haunted tower. Then I saw a Bibarel and I was like, "I'll take your entire stock!" Because I needed something that could use rock climb and waterfall and stuff like that. The lake fights were very easy, the commanders were just a very nice little pushover, so I had to make my way to Snow Point City by going through the snow, and I almost freeze to death, but luckily I found this little shack. And then I made my way to the next gym, which was the Ice type one led by Candace in Snow Point City. With her first Pokemon being Snover, I decided to lead off with Bibarel, which was a mistake by the way, because I didn't go for Rollout, I just went for Return, which didn't one-shot. She healed up and hit me with a Razor Leaf, but 2 more returns killed it. Next was Medicham, who totally is an Ice type by the way, definitely Ice type, look at it. So I decided to switch into my Staraptor and go for 2 Aerial Aces to finish that thing off very easily. So next up was Sneasel, and it's a very frail Pokemon. It's also Dark Ice, so a close combat is 4 times super effective and takes it out in a single hit. Next up was Obama, who also couldn't take a single close combat because I guess he isn't that good in fistfights. After that I went to Barry and I found out that he lost to Jupiter because he sucks and he doesn't want to evolve his Starly. So I told him, dude, just evolve your Pokemon and you will be fine. Then I cleared out the entire Team Galactic building to take on Cyrus for the first time ever, and this guy's team is really damn bad. His first Pokemon is a Murkrow, and I start off with my Bibarel and go for a Return, which does a very decent chunk of damage. He then just uses Embargo, and next turn I take him out. Next up was Golbat, who went down the same way as the Murkrow by using 2 returns. And last up was his Sneasel, who, like the first 2 Pokemon, also went down to 2 returns, and he didn't do that much damage either. With Cyrus down, he gives us the Master Ball and also permission to free Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. But as we go down to the basement, there is another admin there waiting for us, and he doesn't want us to click that button. So he wants to fight us as well. His first Pokemon is a Kadabra, who I easily take out with a return. Next up is Toxicroak, and a return doesn't take him out, so he takes me out with a poison jab combined with some poison damage. So then I switch into Staraptor to finish it off with an Aerial Ace. Last up is Bronzor, who I take down with 2 close combats. After the battle, I free the Lake Trio and go to Mount Coronet. After traversing my way through the mountain, I finally reached the top and saw that Cyrus reached the top already, and he was there. He was summoning Dialga, and the sky turned very weird. Very much colors came out of the sky, and it was very scary. But I still wasn't going to give up, so I decided to go into the fight with the 2 admins, but there was Geralt saving my ass. The 2 admins just start off with their 2 Bronzors, and I lead with Bibarel, and he leads with Munchlax. And I just kept on spamming Surf. I didn't care about hitting the Munchlax, to be honest, because it was pretty damn useless. And eventually, the 2 Bronzors just fainted because of my tidal waves. Now next up was Purugly and Skuntank, who are their ace Pokemon and pretty damn strong. So I opted to go for return this time, and the Skuntank went down in 2, and the Munchlax hit a body slam on the Purugly as well. Next turn a Golbat came out, and I decided to go for a return on the Purugly to take it out. The last 2 Pokemon were their Golbats, and my Bibarel went down, so my Staraptor had to do the work here. Munchlax also went down, so he also switched in his Staraptor. Now it was 2 Staraptors versus 2 Golbats, and you know who's going to come out on top right here. So we won the battle rather easily, and now we can fight Cyrus himself for the last time. While Dialga is trying to shape a new world, the Lake Trio comes along and is like, nah, get to your room, do not shape new world. And so he stops. Cyrus is mad at me because I freed them even though he let me free them, and then he battles us. Since his first Pokemon is a Honchkrow, I decide to lead with Bibarel and set up a rollout. While 2 isn't quite enough to take down the Honchkrow, the third one does finish it off. Next up is Weavile, which I'm actually very scared of because it can one-shot my Staraptor and probably one-shot my Bibarel as well, but we managed to survive a Brick Break, and the rollout finished it off in a single hit because it's already on stage 4. Next up was the Gyarados, and we outsped, and the final rollout takes it down, and last up is Crobat. The Crobat killed my Bibarel, so I had to go into my Staraptor. He decided to confuse me turn 1, which almost screwed me over because I hit myself twice, once with Aerial Ace and once with Fly, and I had to hit 3 Aerial Aces to finish this battle off. He hit me with an Air Slash, which almost took me down. If he hit me with another one, I would have been dead, but he used Cross Poison. I was left with 5 HP, and 1 more Aerial Ace won me the battle. This was just straight up luck, not gonna lie. Then after beating up Cyrus, I decided to take on Dialga, and of course I wasn't going to capture it, so I just let off with Staraptor and killed it with 2 close combats very easy. Then it was time to head up to Sunyshore City, go to the lighthouse, and talk to Volkner because he didn't want to fight any more challenges because he lost his passion for battling. And this was actually the gym that I was most afraid of doing because both of my team members are weak to electric types. But let's see how we actually do against him at this level. Well, because I didn't really want to level up anymore, I just started off with my Staraptor and set up 6 double teams on his first Pokemon, Raichu, and then I used a close combat who almost took him down in a single hit. Then he used a Hyper Potion, I used another close combat and finished off the Raichu with a Fly. Next was his ace Pokemon Luxray, and a close combat did about half of his health, but he had a Citrus Berry and healed up. Next turn he managed to hit his Thunder Fang and kill my Staraptor in a single hit because of all the defense drops of close combat. So I switched in God and went for 2 returns to finish off the Luxray because he missed his Charge Beam. And the next 2 Pokemon aren't even electric types. The next one was Ambipom, who I killed with 2 returns, and last up was Octillery. Octillery was a little bit harder to take down. I used 2 returns, but he survived, then he healed up, he hit me with a Charge Beam which did a lot of damage, but I was able to scrape the win with another return. I think if the Luxray would have hit his Charge Beam, my Bibarel would have fainted and then I would have lost the battle, but I managed to win. Time to head up to the Pokemon League. But before that, we have to fight Geralt one last time. It starts off Staraptor versus Staraptor, even though mine is 6 levels higher. I start off by using Fly 2 times, which almost brings him down, but he then goes for a U-turn and goes into his Float Soul, so I switch into my God. which was able to take down the Floatzel with 2 returns and not really that many problems. Next up was Heracross, which my Staraptor was easily able to finish off with a single fly because it's 4 times super effective. Staraptor came back out, so I switched back into God to finish it off with a return. Next up was Torterra, so Staraptor was out again. And Torterra is quite bulky, so it survived a fly and hit a very hard hitting Leaf Storm, which almost took me down, but next turn another fly finished it off. Next up was Rapidash, so you know God had to finish this one off with 2 surfs. Then Snorlax was his last Pokemon, so God had to do some chip damage with return while we got taken out. Then I switched into my Staraptor, finished off with a single close combat, because if that wouldn't have finished it off, we would have lost this battle. But we did, and we won, and now it's time to head on to the Elite Four. The first Elite Four member is Aaron with his bug types, and this really shouldn't be a problem with my Staraptor and Bibarel's rollout. His first Pokemon, Dustox, was able to set up a light screen, but then I was able to take him out with a fly. Next up was Drapion, and I switched into God to do some chip damage with return and Super Fang. After I got him down into very low health, my Bibarel went down to a Nick Scissor. Then Burb came in, who finished off the Drapion with a single fly. Vespiquen is pretty bulky, so I did go for a Brave Bird because I knew that that would one-shot it. Heracross is bug fighting, so I know that it isn't going to be able to live a fly. Last up is Beautifly, so I know that this thing is very weak, and a fly wins us our first Elite Four member battle. Now next up is Big Bertha, who, believe it or not, was the hardest battle in this entire run. I got stuck here because my Pokemon weren't able to do enough damage against hers, even though Bibarel did have access to Grass Knot. And since 2 of her 3 Pokemon were Water, Ground as well, Whiscash and Quagsire, I thought that Grass Knot was a very good option here. But Grass Knot really didn't do a lot of damage because I guess they don't weigh enough. Because Grass Knot does more damage the more the opponent Pokemon weighs. And I knew that if I wasn't able to take down Bertha at these levels, I wasn't going to be able to take down Cynthia either. So after repeating the Elite Four until my Bibarel and Staraptor were up to level 62 and 63, I finally was able to scrape a win. Now that God was a higher level, he was able to 2-shot Quagsire with Grass Knot. Next up was Sudowoodo, so I knew that I had to go into Burr because he did the most damage with close combat. After using one, he didn't faint, he set up his Sandstorm and then healed up. So I used another close combat, it didn't take him out again, and next turn he hit me with a Sucker Punch, and then I took him out with a Brave Bird. Next up was Gollum, and I knew that this thing was not going to be able to survive a Surf. Next up was Hippowdon, and this thing is bulky as heck. Even though Surf is super effective, it still doesn't do that much damage, but eventually, after just spamming it and she using potions on him, I eventually was able to finish off the Hippowdon with my Bibarel. Last up was Whiscash, and I had to use a Super Fan because I know Grass Knot isn't going to be doing enough damage because Whiscash isn't really a heavy Pokemon, and then I had to go into Staraptor and finish it off with a Brave Bird. Now it's finally time for an easy Elite Four member again, Flint. It starts off Rapidash versus God, and he starts off by using Bounce, which does a decent amount of damage. Next turn he uses Flare Blitz, but I managed to take him out with a Surf. Next was Infernape, who managed to outspeed my Staraptor somehow and hit a Thunder Punch, but it didn't do that much damage, and a single fly did enough damage to take him out. Next was Steelix, and I knew that Bibarel was going to be able to take him down very easily with just 2 Surfs. For Lopunny, I had to switch back into Staraptor to take it out with a single close combat. And last up was Drifblim, who managed to burn me with a Will-O-Wisp, but a Fly and a Brave Bird finished the battle. Also, fun fact, did you know that there are only 2 fire types in Diamond and Pearl, which being actually Rapidash and Infernape. That's why Flint only has 2 fire types. Next up was Lucien, the Psychic type user, which I had a little bit of problems with because of the Bronzong, because I wasn't able to do enough damage with close combat or with Surf, but after enough tries, I finally was able to figure out a strategy to beat him. His first Pokemon, Mr. Mime, can't set up a Reflect because then the run is ruined, and I also have to take him down in a single fly, which I did because I got a critical hit this time. Next was Medicham, who also went down to a single fly because it's fighting type. Alakazam was able to do a load of damage by using Psychic, and he was just bulky enough to survive a fly. So I hit him with another one, but he hung on with like 2 HP, but he used Energy Ball. I was left with 7 HP, and another fly took him down. I got very lucky that he didn't use Psychic again. Next was Giraffaric, and normally I can't one-shot this with any of my Pokemon, so I just went into God. I got a critical hit with return and did take him out in a single hit. And last up was the big problem of this Elite Four member Bronzong, so I stayed in, used a Super Fang a bunch of times, and then just kept on using Surf until I brought him down into red health. Then he healed back up with a full restore. I went for Super Fang 2 more times and then finished it off with 2 more Surfs while we were only left with 1 HP. Bibarel really clutched this one. And last up was the one, the only Cynthia. The one everybody fears. The Garchomp that wrecks entire teams. Are we going to be able to take her out? Let's find out. Well, it wouldn't be a Cynthia fight if we didn't lose a few times. Of course, to her Garchomp a few times, and also to her Gastrodon for some reason. But honestly, it didn't take me that many tries to finally win. I just had to get lucky with my double teams and let Staraptor do the rest of the work. Our first Pokemon is a Spiritomb, which in this gen actually doesn't have a weakness yet. I also know that it can't do that much damage on me, so I just set up my 6 double teams on him, and then after setting those 6 up, I go for a Fly. It does about half damage and another Fly takes him out. Next up was Milotic. I go for a Fly, which normally never does over half, but this time it did, and then just to be sure, I finished it off with a Brave Bird. Gastrodon also wasn't able to hit me, so a Fly did just over half and another one took him out. Next up was Roserade, whose defenses are pretty low, and a Fly took it out because it's super effective as well. Lucario wasn't able to live a close combat, just like Maylene's Lucario. And last up was our almighty Garchomp. I used a Fly which did just under half, so I thought a Brave Bird would be enough to finish it off. But it lived with a little bit of HP, but luckily it had a Citrus Berry which took it out of healing range. So he missed his Giga Impact, and I finished this battle with another Brave Bird. Boom. And just like that, we finished Pokemon Diamond with only Route 1 Pokemon. And we also defeated it while being under leveled because the champion's highest Pokemon was level 66 and my Staraptor was only level 65. I was also pretty impressed by Bibarel because it really pulled his own weight on this playthrough, so I feel like he deserves a little bit more love. I would definitely recommend doing this challenge. You can do this in any gen and I bet it would be fun because normally the Route 1 Pokemon are pretty damn weak, but in this game they're actually not that bad, and definitely not Staraptor. Now I just want to thank the sponsors of this channel, Mickey Googla, Benatril and Felipe Morla. I want to thank you guys for watching, and as always people, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwigo, and I'll see you guys next time.